I never fitted into the system. Everybody else learned differently, was top of the class, I acted up. From a very, very young age, I felt different. I wasn't smart enough. The British system, especially in the way it's designed, it's, if you can't memorise and you can't repeat, and, I struggle with numbers, I struggle with words, it wasn't for me.
Hi Tara, welcome to Parenting Without the Manual. Thank you for joining us.
Well, that is definitely a line for a podcast. I think that is 100% me.
I love it. So we've had the good fortune to meet. I know there's multiple dynamics to you, but I know you've got Sonny, who's 9.
Yes, I do.
You have been in the UAE now from the UK.
Yes, since 2009.
Right, so that's nearly 20 years, like 17.
17 years, yeah.
Wow. And so just give us a little bit of background about you firstly. So you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so my name is Taro's Kid, and I'm the founder and owner of Taro Salons. We have 2 branches in Dubai, 2 branches in Abu Dhabi. We also have an academy, and we have signed our first franchise in Bahrain.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I guess my first, I've got a few questions, but being an entrepreneurial mum and parent, and also your husband's entrepreneurial as well. He runs his own business, or a car business. Yeah. Well, in fact, let's take it back to your child. What do you think happened in your childhood that's put you into the position you are to have had the confidence to go out on your own and then to make it a success?
Well, I think, when the introduction of what I have now all sounds like that it's always been that way. Yeah. But absolutely not. If I go back to how I got there, it's quite a journey, to be fair. So, if we go back to school, I never fitted into the system. I know now that it's different, but back then I didn't think I was smart enough. I thought, why do I not fit into this box? Everybody else learned differently, was top of the class, I acted up. And even if I compare myself to my sisters, they were very academic. So from a very, very young age, I felt different. But also like I was, I didn't fit in and that I wasn't smart enough. And I think back then, and the British system, especially in the way it's designed, it's, if you can't memorise and you can't repeat, and, I struggle with numbers, I struggle with words, it wasn't for me. But then ultimately then I was like, I didn't get any grades, and I'd left school, and I was like, what do I do? My parents didn't know what to do with me because they just assumed that I'd follow the system.
Were you like the black sheep? Or
Definitely. Yeah. Which I love now, but back then I was like, So, I didn't fit into the system. I didn't fit into okay, so you're supposed to do A-levels, and then you're supposed to go on to do university. And, nobody had ever had that conversation with me, like, what do you want to be when you're older? It was like, this is what you do. Anyway, luckily for me, my mum found an advert in the newspaper, and it was for a salon. And I went for the interview and I got it. And I just remember thinking that very first day, I was like, wow, these people are the same as me. The people are the same as me. Everybody works hard, but it's just different to what I thought. Yeah. And also then the power of seeing people coming together, human connection, and how you can actually make people feel better. So that was sort of where I fell in love with the industry. But if we then, that was my late teens, and then my 20s. But unfortunately what happened is I didn't understand the stuff I know now. And because of still having these internal beliefs, not being good enough, just wanting to fit in, people please, I went down a route of going out too much, getting in with the wrong people, didn't really know me or what made me happy, which then led to quite a lot of, mental health issues, and just feel like at one point living on people's sofas and being jobless. And then that was how I ended up in Dubai. Okay. My sister was here. She was a teacher. Okay. With her husband. Yeah. And my mum and dad forced me to come out on holiday. You need to get away. And I was like, wow, it was somewhere I'd never even thought about, going on holiday or anything like that. But when I came here and I saw my sister, I was like, there is a whole big world out there, and I think if I'd never had that opportunity, it was a definite one of the sliding doors moments for me that I don't know where I would possibly be right now if I hadn't have had that opportunity. But yeah, I came out 6 months later, I got a job, worked in another salon, and that was where my Dubai journey started, and quickly after that I met Murray. But, it wasn't still then, okay, then I opened salons after that. We went on to move to Abu Dhabi, and, it was for a good few years, if you think. So I've had the salons 10 years, so it's a good 7 years of being here. And probably, not on the same form as the UK, but same patterns were happening.
Right.
I didn't know where I fitted in. Friends groups was always like, why haven't I got that?
Yeah.
That's unfair. Out socialising too much, every single brunch. And so it's not, there's a big period of my life where I felt very, very lost. And I do think that goes back to what was embedded in me at school.
Well, so here's an interesting thing. So I'd like to know what changed, number one, and like where you got the confidence, because I understand you literally had no money when you started the first salon.
Yeah, no money.
But also, I'm listening to a lot of things of how you're contextualizing it. I'm curious to know how that affects you and how you look at raising your son. Again, it's just interesting, like, well, I picked up on a couple of things. You've got sisters, and they've obviously gone down different paths. So same parenting, maybe same schooling. Why you were different, and then also how you help your son differently, and also what the expectation is. Because look, realistically, you're super successful. I mean, it's not that's a fact. Both you and Maria are super successful. I mean, we don't know the numbers, but they're big numbers. Your son could be lost for 10, 20 years and then find it. It's like, what's right?
Well, I think for me, it was a change of reality, thought process. What was, the situation was exactly the same. But what had happened was I realised that the problem was it was me ultimately. But I just didn't know that there was another way of thinking.
Right.
Nobody had ever shown me that. Nobody had ever told me that, and ultimately picked up a book. Like, I thought self-help books were for people in cults, before then.
What was the book?
So my first one was, the first book that I read is like the 5 a.m. Club. Yeah, there's another one like that as well. One of my favourites, I can't remember the name, but it's similar. It's your morning routine, And then ultimately we went to, it was a Robert Kiyosaki event here in Dubai, me and Murray. And I was just like, wow, I wasn't aware. I had no, and I see this now in people, lack of awareness, that this is it. This is the, and that changed my life forever, listening to people. And then it became a fact of that. Every way I've grown my career over the last 10 years has been about growing my emotional skills.
Love that, yeah.
My physical, looking around these sort of 8 pillars and what you guys talk about as well within the app. But it was all to do with mindset, confidence, and building skill sets around things, but just not in the way I'd been taught. And that for me was a game changer. And that leads into the next question with Sonny is, I see a lot of him. I see a lot of me in him. And what I didn't have at that age is somebody telling me that, okay, you may not be able to do this, this, and this, but you are very smart. You see it, you hear it, you work on your emotional, how you react to things, a mindset. And that is the difference there, I see it differently now. I see a very, very, very smart, tuned-in boy compared to his friends. But if you measure him on an education
academic
system...
level, yeah, it's different.
Not so.
So a couple of things. Firstly, just point of fact, Robert Kiyosaki was my Rich Dad,
was
Poor
Murray's
Dad.
first book that he picked
Rich Dad,
up.
Poor Dad was the first thing that opened my eyes and helped me build my first business. After my first business, Tony Robbins was the thing that then gave me skills for all different businesses.
Because, he unleashes that.
It just showed me the transferable skills, and it's just more like, I suppose, if an idea comes into your head that you can make money or build success or solve a problem, okay, you go and do that, and that becomes your identity. Like, that's what I've done. But Tony taught me more that all those skills that made that business are actually transferable in anything I want to do. So you just reminded me, because I want to show you something on the app before we go, right? But what I want to explain to you is, what you've just said is you didn't have that awareness, and people don't have that awareness. And the reason I made the app and how I've done it, it's actually the pillars. It's systemizing the pillars that I've learned from Tony and life, to be fair, but like daily disciplines, right? And it even like you talk about reading books, right? Like how can we expose our kids to that education? Because really, the minute that switch is turned on, you can really do any business, you can solve any problem. That awareness really becomes like, I'm not just this one thing. I'm not like the round peg in a square hole, or it's not, I can literally have anything. And
for sure. Like I talk a lot about the 8 pillars of wellness, and inside of one of those pillars is the intellectual muscle in your brain. Like you can learn things in different ways. It doesn't need to be, like again here, especially now in this day and age, creative people have a head start because they have a creative way of thinking and building things and learning in different forms with all the technology and everything's behind you now. If it's a straight road and no creativity, I believe that is dead almost, like there's a lot of jobs being replaced, but a creative industry, a creative thinker will always, and I think that, like we say there, that I didn't think I was smart enough. I didn't think I could read a book. I just wasn't interested in it. And it wasn't going to do anything for my creative brain to bring me forward.
Have you heard the saying, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, then it's going to fail, right?
Of course.
So the amount of parents I speak to that tell me, and I tend to only interview successful parents, entrepreneurial parents, right? They'll tell me they've got ADHD. They'll tell me their kids got ADHD. And I think there isn't even ADHD. It's just who we are now. We're in an attention-grabbing society. Like the way we learn, the way we process is different now. But I think those that think they've got ADHD are just creatively thinking and are constantly just thinking at a faster pace. And therefore then to be sit down in a room and spoken at and sit silent like this, it just doesn't, it's making a fish climb a tree.
Absolutely. And I think, look, now, like I used to be very, very frustrated when I first started out in business because I had so many ideas, but I struggled to get anybody to understand them and how to follow through, which is classic symptoms. But now, with everything that's in place, you can have a creative thought and have it turned into a process and a system with a matter of minutes. And I think the ability there and how, like, I think, human connection, building life skills are so important, these emotional connection, because now more than ever, people want, more from people. Like in a friendship, I don't just want somebody to go out with, I want an intelligent conversation, I want somebody that sees me. And I think, now with growing these skills in kids now, like if you look at the system, they're still doing university, they're still doing, what change has been made for these kids knowing that half of the job roles that are there are going to be dead.
But by the way, if our kids now, in 10 years from now, the world's going to be a completely different place. Because I mean, it's even different how we know.
We're in a pivotal moment now, and there's still no change.
But by the way,
changes.
But what's being taught is still a 30-year-old curriculum and syllabus. The impetus of what's happened in the UAE with this situation, and again, it's supposed to be schools, supposed to be going back. Let's see. But it's opened my eyes, and what we're doing with Elysian Minds, opened my eyes to, I will probably start to homeschool Kenzo by September. And what I've actually decided was, when we're looking at the money we're paying on fees, what if I took that and invested it into him playing with AI, to him starting a business, to him starting a YouTube channel?
Get it?
And if he just
life experience traveling.
Which we kind of do anyway, right? But if we did that for 2 years, if he just played with stuff and failed and just wasted money, the lessons he's going to learn from the failures of and of doing stuff and the processes, that maybe he's 11 years old, he launches a business and that turns into a multi-million-pound business.
Absolutely.
And I think that's definitely going to serve him better than going through school and going to university, in my opinion.
I totally agree with you, and I think we are at at our stage of where we've been here a long time, and we've travelled to, America not that long ago, and I think before we know it, life is going to pass us by, do you know what I mean? And I think that now more than ever, You know, just because Sonny has to be in school, does he need to be in school? You know, what is that? Okay, so what's saying? So if I keep him out for 2 years, we travel, we use Elysium Mines and those things, what's to say that I even want him going back to school?
Yeah.
Like, you know?
Well, but here's another thing as well. Like, I was saying this to somebody the other day. Like, and you said, like, no one asked you what you want to be when you grow up, right? Well, here's the thing. If you ask the kids today what they'd want to be, and in my opinion, what many of them even should even think about being, is YouTubers.
Yeah.
Right? I think YouTubers have the one of the best lives. They're famous. They're making passive income. They live life on their terms. They live in their passion. Their YouTube channels, whatever they want to do, they go and do, and they meet these celebrities. They live this great life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we spoke about Tony Robbins before. What I've seen about Tony, he's created a community where within that community, he has all this biohacking. So what you and I would pay for and cost a fortune for, he gets for free because it's part of like the community. So he's kind of like, his life sort of all merges into one with business and passion.
Yeah. Right? I believe now you design your own life.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's what these YouTubers for me are doing. I'm not saying YouTube is the only thing, but if you look at today, what's going to be replaced, probably a real person on a YouTube channel doing authentic stuff is probably not going to be replaced.
No,
right?
Like people, that's what I mean. People want value from people, you know, human connection. You know, somebody standing on a stage will not be replaced. You know, somebody having their haircut will not be replaced. But what people want is more value, more experience, you know, more knowledge, more, you know, things have changed. It's not aesthetically, you know, that people are thriving human connection more, you know, but not just surface level. And this is the problem. A lot of people are surface level, you know, still because they're not evolving.
Well, going back to the school thing, right? They're not thinking, the world is now YouTube attention. Let's teach YouTube. Let's teach content creation. They're not setting up our kids together. They're teaching geography and history and like it's like, you know, where is that really?
I think one thing I do really like about Sonny's school, it's IB or IB. I always forget. It is more project based, which is good. You know, they are learning about how to communicate with kids with different types of, you know, is it autism or, you know, and how to not react, you know, and how to communicate. So that is the good thing. And that was why I would never have put him into British curriculum because of that. So that is the good thing there. But I think easily we can, you know, we've been here for such time and we've got to this level. But you can easily then get stuck in a box again, you know, and I think, okay, so it's the next phase. What's the next phase of designing the next phase of life? Whose rule book do we need to sit in?
Do you think that what's happened now with the situation in UAE has caused you to reflect and think, is school the right way? And, you know, have you considered homeschooling more and stuff like that?
Yeah, and I think it's a family decision, you know. We've given the last 10 years to work, you know, and almost, you know, it's been, Sonny's 9. And, you know, I think if the next however many years go as quickly, you know, it's always got to be a family decision. Like I physically couldn't homeschool him at the minute because I'm so busy, you know, I can't give him that attention. But what's to say now for the next phase of the life and we write our own rule book again, you know, taking him out and having apps like, you know, like Elysium Mines and stuff like that. Who says we need to fit into the system? Again, it's so easy to think that we've got to go down the... Again.
I think we're a private school for that reason. And again, when you think how much money that you pay for private school, and we all do it, and I think if you asked most parents, and they put their hand on their heart, they probably wouldn't... They would probably say that school's not preparing them for life. And yet
look at Grant Cardone's kids. Do you know what I mean? They follow him like
same as Andy, right?
Yeah,
same as Andy. And I do look at that. I mean, my personal goal, I don't know if I mentioned to you, is as we launch and we scale and we do stuff, is to then travel and do impact work. And by the way, that's a fulfillment for me because look, I've made money in my life. You can always have more, but you get to a certain point, the material stuff doesn't really make anything. And,
I agree with that. The last few years have taught me some massive lessons. It's my family, you know, being in the moment, in having experiences, whereas it's always been pushing, because where I came from to what I thought, to then I unlocked this thing, and I knew if I keep, you know, it became a game to me, like, well, if I do this, I can do this, do you know what I mean? And it became, because of, you know, once you do get into something, you really get into it and you can't drop it. But ultimately, again, there it's like, but for what? Like, you know, but for what? It's Number one is your family and making sure everybody's happy. You know, me growing up, you know, I thought I wasn't good enough and nobody, you know, my parents were around all the time. It was negative. But am I then going to do that for Sonny where I'm working so much? I then, you know, tell him he's great in this way. But really, if I flip it on its head, I don't have enough time for him either. So, yeah, I think, you know, why not? Why?
I mean, a couple of things I want to say to you, like just from knowing you, how I know you, I think I would be kinder to yourself in that. I wouldn't be so hard on yourself. I think maybe you are as a mum, but
that's it, isn't it? It's the mum guilt.
Yeah, but well, again, but I think that if you really looked at it, you have in your business the way you've got it, you're doing so much good that you have the flexibility, and I've seen it because we spoke regularly, right? You have the flexibility to not go to work, to say, oh, I'm staying at home today because of this, or we were going to do this, but now we're doing that, and you can move. Whereas if you had a job,
yeah, no, I know. I do have the choice. I choose not to. That's on me.
Well, yeah, sometimes, but sometimes you do. Yeah. Look, I'm a guy that I will work weekends and I'll work birthdays and I'll do all that stuff, right?
Yeah,
some people might
enjoy it as well, isn't it?
But some people might go, "Oh, you're working the weekends," but it's every day. Like you say, design your life. It's not just that, but the thing is, at the same time, though, I don't have to work Monday to Friday if I don't. So if I want to take 3 weeks off, I'll go and do that. So I think you've got to put a balance somewhere. Funny enough, though, I've just actually did a post today about water boiling, right? And I've realized as I was reflecting on all my businesses that I've built, I've done sprints and I've gone hard for a short period of time that's got enough momentum. And then that momentum's served me for many years, right? And I think that some people, they're not willing to be that uncomfortable. No. For me, I take that. I could now take 3 months off work if I want to. But at the same time, I work every day and I work on important days. So I won't, if it needs to get done, it needs to get done. But I also think being an entrepreneurial parent, you inspire your kids. I think, like you asked me about the event yesterday. My son was there. Look, like that forever is going to live in his memory. That daddy's business. Like he came back from that event. He's like, Daddy, can I have a lithium ions bag? Because we were giving the goodie bags, and obviously he doesn't go on. But he goes, and what I understood from that is he wants to be proud and have the lithium ions bag.
Yeah. Do you know what it is? It was. I caught Sonny the other day. He was like, Mummy, you're famous.
Yeah.
He was like, I've just Googled you.
Yeah.
And it was, you could see his little face. But I think there you said something there. Because I've been building, I've been working a lot with AI and stuff and how you can bring the AI to give better human experience, build businesses and stuff. And it was something there, and it did a report. It was like on the 403rd attempt, you got it right. But whereas a lot of people would give up on number 3. But I was like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. You know, so it's that. No, I'm not giving up.
And so what we'll tell you as well, what we're doing with the platform as well, is I get my son to do an hour a day. Now, it's not that it's just an hour a day, because there's other things. So I want to show you later on, is the exercise, the breath work, the meditation. I don't know if I've gone through that with you.
No, it's really good.
Right? I don't know if you've seen that bit, but from all the stuff that I learned, Robert Kiyosaki showed me to think differently, to create wealth, to become an entrepreneur, not to work for somebody, essentially, right? Tony Robbins taught me multiple life skills. What I understood is whatever I want to do, if I dedicate an hour a day to it, I can go places.
Absolutely.
Right? And so then I developed a skill in life.
And that's the thing that people won't do.
Yeah.
They'd rather sit on the phone, watch TV.
Not just that. You know what? No, I don't know. I completely agree when you say that. What I would say is this. They don't believe they can.
I don't know. I think it's, you know...
A bit of both.
I think...
Some are just lazy, you reckon?
Yes, I think you just... everybody has, like, you either make progress or you make excuses.
You can't have both, but learning that I can do anything an hour a day, when I think, what do I want to teach my son? I don't necessarily need to push him to be an entrepreneur. Like, I don't see even YouTubers as an entrepreneur, although they are.
Yes, Sonny wants to be a Formula 1 driver.
Right, okay. So again, if he's clear that, like, I don't know, like Kenzo wants to be an entrepreneur, and he already sees himself as his identity is an entrepreneur, by the way. Right? He negotiates on everything.
Going to be giving you a run for your money.
Yeah, he already is, but he already is, right? But I don't need him to be. I want him to design his life and have financial freedom so he can be, do and have whatever he wants.
Feel happy and have purpose.
Absolutely. And but what I realised is whatever he wants to be, if it's a footballer, if it's a Formula One driver, if it's a pianist, if it's a YouTuber, it's whatever. If you want to get better at something, you can get better at anything by doing 1 hour a day. And so the actual lesson, as well as what's in the content, is how to sit down in front of a computer 1 hour a day.
Yeah.
Right? And if you can just manage that and get that focus, you can learn anything. Because whatever now you need, you can go to YouTube, you can learn how to do anything. Like
anything.
I'm training my team here. I no longer employ with what skills people have. I employ for the character of who I like, and I'll train them. And to be honest with you, I could put them and pay them to be there, and for 1 week go on YouTube educational videos, and they'll learn everything I need them to learn.
And you said, for me, I hire on mindset.
Yeah.
Not skill set. Skill set can be taught.
Yeah.
But one of the non-negotiables is you have to have an open mind into bettering yourself and getting to the next level.
And standards as well. Like there's certain key things like reliability, values, exactly.
You know, are so important.
Yeah. You can't train them as easily as you can train skills.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's it. So that's what we were talking with about the kids. So as you look at then Sonny today, and you now, what I'm hearing from you is that you really want to focus a lot more on family experiences and stuff like that. Are you teaching him more to make experiences? Are you having those experiences with him? How are you helping him set up for the things that you see that he's going to need and that he needs today, and where he's, what does that look like?
I think everything that you talk about in Alicia Minds is a thing, because if you build your emotional intelligence, for one, and understand how to react and not to react and how to be triggered, that's first, then it's understanding that there are so many ways, and all the other things, if you think about finances, I hated numbers, I couldn't get my head around it, but understanding now there's various ways to attack things, and I think for me, the more I grew myself, which is the same which Alicia Minds does as well, the more he grows himself and develops all those parts of him, the next phase just evolves because you become curious, you become interested, and when we are not doing those things, that's where you see problems later on in life, because you don't know about, the pillars of wellness, or, the emotional structure, or how to learn, or intellect. Like, it's not about reading a book, but I believe there that, okay, you learn this, it then triggers a new interest, a new passion. And then you think, I'm going to learn that. And then all of a sudden you've grown, which means it then opens up another door, and I think that is what I want for Sonny and helping him with. The more you work on these things, and the more the next thing comes, the more next interest comes.
So I'm curious, do you spend time teaching Sonny your pillars of wellness, your 8 pillars?
Yeah. I just talked to him about, like even things with his friends, like if somebody said something, I talk about, look, the reason maybe he's being like that with you is because there's maybe something going on with him, you know, something going on at home. Don't always think because people are saying things a certain way, it's actually what they mean, because 9 times out of 10, it's got nothing to do with that, and then also him coming to work with me and stuff and talking about work and understanding that, even like when I called you the other day, I saw that look in his face. He was in the UK for a couple of weeks, then went on to online schooling, and he just looked so sad. So sad, so depressed, not good at that look, feeling thick. And I just pulled him away and I was like, it's okay. Don't put that pressure on yourself. If you don't understand it, it's fine, but let's look at this. And the difference within him, he picked up the app straight away. He loved it. And he felt, again, it's the emotional intelligence there, the pressure that we put on ourselves. So whereas a lot of other parents maybe in that situation would have grilled him, no, you get on with it, come on, you do it. If you don't do it, you're going to be behind. You can't do this, you can't and that ultimately there, and I see it in a lot of Sonny's friends, will lead to rebelling or not being transparent, or, because they feel that they can't be them. A couple of things have happened recently. So Kenzo had a situation. So I was going to say this before, but you started talking about, if someone says something. So Kenzo had a situation where he had a little argument with one of his friends, and this is a bigger boy, right? And the bigger boy was sort of swearing at him.
all like on their mobile. They're already on phones, right? On their WhatsApp groups and stuff, right? And I was a little bit concerned because the boy's bigger. They both box, right? My son can really handle himself, but this kid's also a big kid. But during this kind of stuff, Kenzo was very calm. He was just like, we're friends. Why are you talking? Why do you talk like that? Like,
what other kid speaks like that?
Yeah,
you know
like that.
Yeah.
But the maturity to handle it was, and then it got squashed in a second anyway, right? Which was great. But I was very proud.
If he hadn't had that training.
Yeah.
And I saw Sonny before in those situations deal with it very differently.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm incredibly proud. I don't even know what he's learning and seeing it half the time, right? But I'm very proud of where he's at. And then randomly, this is what I really love. So a couple of things, but I do as well. But he added me to the friends group. This is like way later, right? But he was like, "Hey guys, I'm adding my dad to the group." And I'm like, I don't even know if I'm still there, but it just helps me, see what's going on. And I like that he's got that trust for me.
And that's it. Like, whereas other kids, I remember I used to be so embarrassed, I wasn't allowed to have anybody at home. Oh my God, because of how I was felt. But that there is it's, because and this is the thing, I was never allowed to be me, or feel confident. And that's the thing there. He's feeling confident. He feels comfortable.
But one of the things I learned, so I was very fortunate. So we spoke about how Robert Kiyosaki, Tony Robbins, but I had a mentor in one of my businesses, and that mentor massively shaped my life. And he did some things with me that I will never forget, and I pass on to my son because it helped shape me so profoundly. And he would just say things like, "What did you learn from that situation?" And just a review, because situations happen and emotionally we react.
Yes.
Just that little review to say, "Okay, that thing happened. Reflect. Yeah, let's reflect. What did you learn? Oh, I don't know, not much. Okay, well, okay, but what if you what could you learn? Yeah, what did you learn? And what else did you learn?" And letting them stimulate themselves that way. Is amazing.
The biggest thing there that you said there is okay, that's happened, let's look at it.
And process it.
Process
it. We then help shape how they're able to process it rather than them recording it in a negative way that holds them.
Nobody this is what I'm saying, this emotional layer, nobody teaches this stuff. How to, and this is where problems start to arise because you don't physically know how to deal with a situation.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to build a career or a job, it's that person's triggered you, because nobody is okay, what's, the backwards and the forwards of everything. It's one of the biggest skills.
Right. My team have prepared some questions that they want me to talk to you about. So, when you started your first salon, so we're going to go back to the business side, right? Mm-hmm. When you started your first salon with nearly no money, most people would have waited until the conditions were perfect. What made you just go for it? Number one. And what do you know now about that decision that you wish you had known then?
I think it was just, I'd got to the point where it's this or I'm done. Because I was didn't like anywhere I worked. I felt that I wasn't valued. And so I was well, surely I can do it better. Anyway, so we did it, opened, and then I remember that first day I just burst into tears because I had no idea what I was doing. But I could cut hair, But what I knew now is, and every stage and every salon is, it's a different version of you that's required. So very quickly I had to learn that okay, it's not just about cutting and colouring people's hair. I had no idea how to run a business.
All the additional skills and stuff. Okay. Well, so it's interesting. So, right, most parents tell their kids to get a job and play it safe, but actually your success is you did the opposite than do that, right? So what did that cost you emotionally? What was emotionally required? What did it cost you emotionally to go all in?
It's cost me a non-stop investment into myself.
Right.
That's what it's. But it's not that it's cost me anything. It's built me, but because the more you build these skills, it builds your confidence.
Diamonds are made under pressure.
What's that? Sorry.
Diamonds are made under pressure.
Absolutely. It's cost me nothing. It is, like I said, the person I was to the person I am today, and the things that I do and how I can help people. Changed my life.
Here's a good one. If the school system had taught you what you know now, how different would your journey have been?
I would have gone past my sisters, past everybody. I would have taught that oh yeah, I don't want to be like any of you, and I'm glad I'm not.
Aren't you there now?
Would have saved me 20 years maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when I travelled with Tony, we were in this small group called the Platinum Partnership, and we would again reflect, and someone would say, you know, what's the one most important thing that you've learned? And one guy turned around and said, it takes the same time to have $1 million idea as it does to have a $100 million idea. And actually, you know, some of us, I think, I look at myself in this, I don't know if you can relate. When I was building my business, it was just how can I make $1 million? How can I make X? Whatever the number is, all right? Whereas my eyes now, knowing what I know, it's nearly infinite. It's like I'm not capped to anything. Like it's how do I make a bigger impact? Is the honest truth.
And I always have a North Star vision that I go back to every 6 months and realign. You know, and the North Star vision is huge.
Yeah.
You know, but I know I've got to do phase 1, phase 2 to get to get to there. You know, it doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
But it is like, that's what you know, I have to emotionally feel it. You know, I keep like I'm almost there.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, a North Star vision has got to be something that is big, but it can be big in different ways to many people, but it's got to be emotionally important to you because the steps to get there and achieve it are not easy. So in order for it to mean something,
chunk it down.
You've got to chunk it down.
Okay. What is the one thing that you do that your team would say makes them want to stay with you?
They see what I put in. You know, there's
like lead from the front.
Yeah, like I lead from, you know, I lead, and I grow myself.
Yeah.
You know, and it's undeniable. You can't see what I do. You know,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not like I sit there and just expect. Like, you know, some people open businesses and then just leave them, but that ultimately means that they fail as well. You know, so. Yeah, I think, you know, they see every form of my journey. I'm very open and honest, and I'm relatable.
Yes.
You know, as well.
Yeah.
I've achieved, but I'm grounded and I'm relatable.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's still in the mix, doing the stuff. Is the fear of investing in yourself the real reason most people never build anything?
Yeah, people think that's expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think, what's the price of not doing it?
Yeah.
You know, Murray just made a big investment to go to Vegas. And yeah, you know, people in that group was like, that's a hell of a lot of money. But if you do the maths and then you think about it, and if I can apply this, and this is the percentage of what can do, and that's average people, then it's silly not to. I have spent like yourself, like, you have to invest into yourself because nobody else is going to. But people, how do you get any better? You'll get stuck in business, you'll get stuck emotionally.
By the way, if you spoke to 90% of successful people, they're all of the same mindset. And look, success leaves clues, right? It's not an accident, you know.
You learn from the people that are doing the thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not just always business. Life coaching, it could be public speaking, confidence, you know, depending on where you're at. I always think, what's the thing that you're struggling with right now? That's your bottleneck. Right, what can you do to learn about that or overcome it? Or is it even that you just need to make a bit more time for yourself? And that's where the 8 pillars also come in, that assessment.
Okay. You might have just answered this question. If you could put one thing into every school curriculum tomorrow, what would it be and why? Yeah,
understanding that when there is a problem, it's the awareness of where is this coming from. Put it into a pillar. Is it financial? Is it, you know, is it emotional? Is it, you know, is it that you're not liking school? Is it, you know, the awareness of where it's actually coming from, and then understanding you've got 2 choices. You can either have a negative thought and a negative action towards it, or you can have a positive belief and a positive action towards it. The situation is still the same, but that's your roadmap to get out of it. And then it's just working on it 2% every day to overcome it. Yeah. And then in a few months, wow, it's not as big as you thought it was.
1,000,000%. Is the next generation going to be more emotionally equipped than ours or less?
It depends. It depends if things start to change very quickly. You know, I think, you know, I see like the change that is happening right now is huge. You know, and if we think, I just think about people like, you know, my age and in jobs and stuff, they don't see it. But if the school system is still teaching a lot of these things, then yeah, we do have a bit of a huge problem.
I think there's going to be just a wider gap. I think there's going to be, and by the way, in direct correlation to emotional awareness, stability, management, it is finances, is success, is happiness. You're going to have a lot more poorer people that don't have any of it, and you're going to have a lot more wealthier people that are doing all the right stuff.
The middle is dead.
Yeah.
And it has been for a long time, but it will be even more apparent.
Yeah, it's definitely coming that way. Grows faster. Has putting your name on the brand ever made you want to play it safer than you should have?
I just couldn't think of any names that I wanted to call it originally. But it also was something that I hid behind for a long time. Wouldn't go on camera, wouldn't.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I had really bad.
Because you speak now publicly as well. You do a lot of stuff.
But that was because I was so afraid. I couldn't even have a team meeting. And I was so concerned about what people thought. And then a lot of people have said, oh, you shouldn't have called it this. What if you want to do this? And then it became right, I'll show you. I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to learn. It's that moment of you go from here and then somebody says something, you're like, right.
You've got to be, look, it's nice to talk to people, but everyone's got an opinion, right? And I mean, by the way, you know what we've done in the last 4 months, right? And do you know how many people I've spoken to in those 4 months, and everybody's given me a different opinion. And I want to be respectful. I really want to be respectful, but I'm just so focused on and it's very clear for me. And so when I'm so clear, I don't really need.
But that's what takes a successful person. Because most people don't get it, and that's reality of why they are where they are.
I don't want to say too much in case they watch this video, but I sat down with somebody yesterday, and when they looked at our product, and they were just like, "Why didn't you do this? What if this went this, and this thing went that way?" And I'm looking at them going, "Do you anything like this?" And they went, "Well, there probably is something."
Have you done it?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. No. And that, by the way,
show me.
This person's son is at school with my son, so we found out. Right? They're quite relatively famous, right? The person, and they're like, yeah, I'm not sure if my son will stick to it. I'm not sure if my son is. And it's like, I'm just telling you, every single person that's done it has got it. But anyway, the point is, it was just, everyone's got an opinion, but you've got to stick to your guns, and you've got to have that self-belief.
When you believe in something so big and you feel so passionate about it, and you will do whatever it takes to be better and the different version of you to align with it, So, I mean, for me, that's, by the way, why I got my son as well into boxing and martial arts. Does the same. Yeah. And go-karting and something that takes...
these things helps you helps the kids solidify, and I think that's what we've got to help them protect. Thank God as well. And again, we spoke a lot today about entrepreneurialism within the parenthood anyway, right? But I think if you're in a more, I can't think of the right correct word, but poorer family, they don't have sometimes. I did a lot of hypnosis and healing, trauma healing and stuff like that.
It's a huge part of it.
And I found out that some old beliefs of mine went back to when my dad had come home from work late. I wanted to play and he was tired and shouting at me. Yeah.
Your brain does not know whether you're 6 months old, 3 years old or now.
Yeah.
It's the same, and this is the thing, it's the same. We're hardwired.
Yeah.
And if we don't go back and find out where it's come from or the understanding behind it, because this is another huge part of it. You can only go so far if you're not unpicking, because you could be so focused, but things keep happening, but you're still that 10-year-old boy.
Or 10-year-old
But
the point is how we record it as well, right? And again, what I realized at this point when I looked back at it in this hypnosis, right? And I don't think I've ever shared this, right? But it wasn't my dad's fault. He was just tired and he didn't know how to manage how he communicates with me. So it would be shouting and getting angry because I was a hassle to him. And so I'm very mindful when I deal with my child not to have that, and to actually nearly talk to him like an adult and take time, even if I have to tell him off or whatever, but then go, do you understand why I've lost do you understand what's just happened? And was this right or was this wrong? And so he can actually process it now so he doesn't carry that burden.
And I think that's the thing, understanding then that they did the best with what they knew, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think that is a really big thing, is a lot of us don't let go or see, again, there you saw it from a different perspective.
Totally,
which then means you can finish that and move on. Do you know what I mean also?
Right, we are unfortunately coming to the end, but before we go, just in closing, you've had a big journey, lots has happened. As if you were leaving one message, or you could say something to somebody either becoming a parent, either they've got a young child, maybe, and not just entrepreneur, not entrepreneur, whatever, as a holistic thing of where you are now and everything you've got together, what kind of advice, if you give her like one word of advice?
Yeah, and I think the best thing the best advice I ever got coming into being a mum was, the best advice you can ever have is don't listen to people's advice.
There you go.
But that really stuck with me, because I remember becoming a mum, trying to manage work and this, like, whoa, the opinions, it was huge. And I was like, no, I'm going to do this my way, you know. And I think that as well with business and everything is every phase of it requires a different version of you. And if things are going wrong, it's because you need to find another level, you know. It's and I think that's always that we have the ability to do anything we do, but what gets you here won't get you there is the famous.
I've one last thing I want to ask you, right? Because I know how I feel, but I'm curious to know your thing. You are now in a much more affluent place than how you grew up. So how does that translate to how you raise Sonny? Does he have to earn stuff? Do you want him to struggle, or do you want the ride to be easy? Or what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think, there was a big fear of, oh my God, he's going to grow up like a expat brat. Yeah. But it's just shown him that things don't come easy. How hard we work for this, The reason we have help, we have somebody to cook for us, we have a driver, we have a nanny. Well, the reason we have these things is because we work so hard, and if we had to do all of that as well, it's not, so it doesn't just come. It comes because of this. And, I am very, very much like, if I hear a word spoken in the wrong way, it is, we don't ever treat any person like that. How we speak to people. Remember when you were spoken to like that, you didn't like it, and I think, yes, I don't, trying to get him to do jobs and stuff. But again, it's just the conversations of, again, it was funny. He went back to the UK with my sister, and he was like, I take it we're not flying business. But I was like, But it's also because he's building his emotional skills as well. I believe he understands it more. Whereas a lot of the other kids, like, they speak like shit to the nannies. They, expect or this, and it becomes very surface level. So, I think if you can work on those things with your child, why should we be sorry for giving them more? Yeah. But it's just learning that why these things come and why we do it. I free up time. I have a driver because I can work an extra 2 hours a day in the car. We have somebody to help cook our food. One, because Murray has a finicky diet that I can't face, and two is because I'm busy. I'm working all the time. So not put that stress on myself as well.
Well, I didn't get a driver till recently. Yeah, this is such a Dubai conversation. But I've got to tell you, and I didn't think I really needed it. The pressure it's taken off me, where I can just get in a car and not think, not about parking.
On my laptop.
But
the speeding fines as well became a real issue, and black points.
As well, especially in Abu Dhabi, by the way,
yes.
right? But what I've realised now, or what I'm doing with my son now, I was really present for a long time. I went through a dark period with my parents, with going through divorce, and I was so conscious to be present, and I believe I've done that. And he's now 9. There's a great foundation. Whereas now I'm being less present and working harder. Because I'm very purpose driven. I'm very excited for what I'm doing, but I also think I'm teaching him. And going back to where he came to the event yesterday, and he was looking, but I was busy. I was busy the whole time. But he doesn't know what working is because I've got passive income, because my business is run. Like he just sees me around all the time, right?
So whereas this
now
is good
he's
for
seeing
him now, the next phase.
And that's what
he's now old enough to see the journey.
Yeah. That's good. Listen, Taro, it's been an absolute pleasure. We got there finally, right? It's been a while in the making, but so happy to have had you here. It's been brilliant.
And honestly, I just want to say what you've built is so amazing. It's going to bring out so many different skills in kids that I believe are not taught or are not made aware of, which ultimately, if you build the foundations here, anything is possible.
Yeah. And it's also the way they learn it as well, right? I mean, the engagement, it's about having fun with them rather than...
Of course, why should learning be miserable?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, me and you are making a adult lives out of learning, right? And it pays.
And that's it now. The more I learn from somebody that hated it and was afraid of it and didn't feel... That's all I do, is I'm always open to learning wherever I can.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.